Welcome to the podcast. This is the Voice Box podcast with Nhlane, Nhlane, King Nhlane. I'd like you to be a part of this one. So yes, do click the subscription button as well as the bell, just so when we drop and upload anything on this YouTube channel, you get the notification first. Or also, you can check it through my Facebook page, that's King Nhlane, as well as my Instagram, King Nhlane, KingHenryMalan. There you go, you have it, you found me. You can also check me out on my Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, in this season, we are looking at the Women's Month. So in this month, we will be talking to various ladies that will be coming through to this podcast to have a chat. Of course, some part of this podcast will be airing on Capital FM, a radio station that I work with in Blantyre. So do catch some part of it in the Daybreak Malawi program that happens from 7 o'clock going all the way till 8, as well as inside my Traffic Jam show that comes every Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday from 4 o'clock till 7 p.m. on Capital FM. This is the Voice Box podcast with Nhlane, King Nhlane, Naomie. This is where we will be able to voice out whatever we've kept blocked for so long and for some time, so maybe we need to let it out. This is our podcast. Let's come and make that noise. Subscribe, yo! Subscribe! In our previous episode, this is how our conversation went.
My name is Clara Gampeni, Catholic University student representing Makazi Foundation on Women in Science.
My name is Kate Bendame. I'm a fourth year student at the Catholic University of Malawi, and I am a Yali alumni as well as a U-grade alumni, and I'm volunteering with the Makazi Foundation. I'm also here to talk about women when it comes to economic empowerment.
I am Christine Mandarasi. I am a biomedical engineer by profession, but I'm currently working as a biomedical researcher at Malawi Level Welcome Program.
Hi, my name is Angel Malunga. I'm the project manager at an organization called Sycamore Consult, where we do training and consultancies. I'm here with you today to speak on economic freedom, on the aspect of investing and how women can use investing as an avenue for financial freedom.
Hi everyone, I'm Tokozani Mafubia. I am the Deputy Executive Director for Lydia Action. We're a local NGO based in Zomba. I'm here to represent women, to emphasize the need for protection of women, especially in terms of the inequality that comes with pay, the gender pay gap issue. We need to understand that women are fundamentally disadvantaged right from birth. The issue of gender pay gap is not just about money, but it's more about the reasons behind that. Women take up more responsibilities, not just a paid work, but also unpaid work.
In order for women to be truly economically free, it stems from the issue of money.
Yeah.
So being financially free. So how do you become financially free? You invest in yourself, and you invest in things that are going to produce money for you.
Yeah.
Firstly, growing up, I'd always wanted to be a doctor. Studying biomedical engineering, I felt this deep sense of obligation toward people around me. I felt like there was something that I could do to help create better outcomes for people who, they're suffering from diseases like TB, especially infectious diseases, noting that that's one of the diseases that are actually, infectious diseases are actually, one of the major killers in Africa and sub-Saharan, and other African countries like Malawi and sub-Saharan countries in general.
Basically, Women in Science just highlights the importance of recognizing and promoting the role of women in science and working towards gender equity in the scientific community. As we're currently talking about sustainable development and sustainable development agendas, we look at harnessing everyone's talent, and this includes placing women in these fields, these specific fields, like women in science, women in agriculture, women in technology, women in mathematics,
I recently bought my first car in, let me just say it arrived in December of last year. But I actually own 7 vehicles.
Okay.
That I use to make me money.
Okay.
People actually paid for my car. I didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
I bought 7 cars and let other people do the work for it.
I believe ladies are diverse thinkers.
Yeah.
We just don't wake up today and just have one thing that we think we can do.
Yeah.
Because already looking at how the community had to put their roles or different perspectives towards women, it's already like we belong to the triple roles, which is the reproductive role, the productive role, and at the same time the community work.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the community work, you notice that most women do not have access and control to most resources.
So you're talking to Sharon Rose Mbuna, a lawyer by profession, a founder of an organization called Aspire Connect, which is a non-profit organization that fosters quality education as well as community development.
And you are talking to Audrey Mudzengerere, an educationist by profession who has worked with boys and girls in many different schools as a principal of the school.
Taking it back to our country, there are a lot of disparities that we face. And with this, I mean the gender gaps that we have, in the sense that we have a lot of boys that are in school compared to the girls. So this is as a result of several or various factors that stem from social factors, economical factors, financial factors, as well as cultural factors that come into play. And this is going to be what we're going to be discussing on basically.
And when we talk about these disparities in education, we are basically talking about the enrollment rates that we have. That is the number of girls as compared to the number of boys in the schools. We are talking about the dropout rates. And the dropout rates, we are looking basically at the number of students who leave school before they complete their studies. We are also talking about the literacy rate.
Yes.
How many in our country are able to read and write?
Yeah.
And we are also talking about how to address these disparities.
Yeah.
And the factors that influence these gender disparities is basically the social economic factors. And on social economic factors, we are looking at poverty.
Yeah.
How does poverty affect
Education,
yes, and you would find that usually people they have preferences when it comes to the child.
Mm-hmm. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we meet another group of ladies who we will be talking to King Henry Nhlane, Lekhenolo, Mwanawa Auntie Betty. Let's hear from the ladies what they had to say when we had a good chat when we met up this time. My name is Lekhenolo King Henry Nhlane, Mwanawa Auntie Betty, back with this podcast. But of course, I'm with another group of ladies today in the show today. We would like to have a chat about something different, which will be defined by the ladies. But before we get to define our conversation today, I want everyone who's home or wherever they could be to know who I am having a chat with today. So who are we with today?
First of all, thank you for having me in this program.
Great.
Yeah. My name is Ennita Dzewe. I love to call myself as a gender development specialist.
Okay.
Yes. Currently, I'm a board member of a startup youth-led organization called Action Against Poverty and Environmental Damage.
Right.
In short, APAID.
Okay.
And as already said, I'm a gender development specialist.
Yes.
So I'm much more involved in many activities, especially at the community level.
Yes.
So currently, I'm volunteering at Nhlane Health Center.
Yes.
Particularly in the Nhlane Youth Drop-In Center, where I get to educate youth on sexual reproductive health. So it encompasses both women and men. Yeah.
But today we get to look at the ladies.
Today we get to look at ladies. So we're just trying to balance up. Since I said I'm gender specialist.
I agree.
Yes.
And who else do we have today?
Thank you. My name is Beatrice Kalaja. I'm a social worker by profession. So mainly, I'm always happy to be part of any issues involving gender, and it's always a pleasure to advocate and to be a mediator on issues surrounding gender-based violence or any issues surrounding women, since we are mostly talking about women in this broadcast. So mostly I feel happy to be part of this broadcast, since it will help me to give more information on the issues to do with gender-based violence.
Great. And who else do we have today?
Thank you. My name is Naomie. I am a lawyer by profession and I work for Masumbu and Company. I also volunteer for the Makazi Foundation, and I am here to join these ladies to discuss the topic that we're going to be discussing today.
We've talked about gender a lot in our introduction. My gender is male. So yes, but of course we're focusing on the ladies. Now, when we talk about gender altogether, we know that we can specifically and easily just jump into gender-based violence. that is also related mostly in high numbers to do with the ladies. So maybe what do we understand as gender-based violence to be?
All right. So first of all, let me define what gender-based violence is.
Yes.
Gender-based violence, in my view, it's any act of harm, any act that can cause harm to a person.
Yes.
Based on their gender.
Yeah.
So it's like a violence which is directed at a person.
Yeah.
Because of their gender. And this can take many forms. It can cause physical harm, emotional harm, economic harm,
yes,
and sexual harm.
Yeah.
And as we already said, most women are more vulnerable to gender-based violence because of our culture.
Yes.
You know our culture where most areas are more of patriarchy. That's a law of father. That means a man gets to decide on each and every important decision made in the family.
House,
So as such, it comes from a family level, it goes into community. At the end of the day, we have all over the world because like men are the ones who make decisions. So this puts women at a very disadvantage because this can also show in education sector, agriculture sector, health sector, in every sector you can think of.
Yeah.
So we need to
balance the equation.
Yeah, we need to balance this equation, and we need to raise awareness about gender-based violence, and we need to advocate for laws that can protect women from gender-based violence.
Luckily for us, we have a lawyer. But before we get to the lawyer, maybe Beatrice has something to add to that.
So as she has said, gender-based violence, it's any harmful act which can be perpetrated on a human being. So most of the times it's women who are at the center of being violated because of the nature we women are. We are expected to be submissive in most of the situations that we are in. So whether be it at home, at work, or anywhere else we're supposed to be, we are expected to be submissive. So because of the submissive nature which is in us women, it's more takenly as a weakness in the society, making us to be vulnerable and making us to be most of the victims of gender-based violence. And because men are the nature of men, which is the masculine nature of men, once they see that a woman is more like trying to take charge, they feel offended. And such scenarios, they'll always try to find a way to bring down that woman. So some of the ways which they can try to bring down women, they can end up resulting into gender-based violence.
Do you agree with that, Naomie, our lawyer today?
Yes, I agree with that. As my colleagues already gave the definition for gender-based violence as violence perpetrated towards a person because of their gender. So I am here to focus on the legal aspect of and also address the legislation and the policies that have been put in place to curb gender-based violence. And also just so I can emphasize on that, almost one in every 2 women in Malawi has experienced gender-based violence, whether be it physically or sexually, as was reported by United Nations Women. So I think we can get into it now.
All right. Now, on the emotional end, maybe how can we deal with it if it ever had happened to a lady? Emotionally, we know that you guys deal with things with emotions first before we go to, the rational side as a man does handle things. Now, maybe how can we help the ladies with emotions who have been maybe affected by gender-based violence? Anyone taking that?
Okay, so we have toll-free lines and counseling for people who've been affected by gender-based violence. I know a toll-free line which is countrywide. It's called a crisis line, and you can find them at 5600, and it's for free. And also you can call Human Rights Resource Center on 3026. I have a friend who works there. Her name is Michelle. She will gladly help you in talking to you, calming you down. If you've been in a situation where you've been attacked by, if you're a victim, let me put it like that. If you're a victim and you need to talk to someone, you can call these 2 toll-free lines, 5600 and 3026. So the 3026 toll line, you need to at least have a tukwacha in your phone. It's not entirely free, but I think it's a reasonable. It's reasonable. Yeah. So, yeah.
And another way one can deal with emotional or psychological abuse, it's through counseling and therapy. I believe we have some of the services here in Malawi where people can find counseling and the therapy sessions. I'll always say we in the districts where we are, we always believe that we have the councils there, and each and every council is supposed to have a gender department.
Yeah.
So I normally would like to say that we should highly recommend people to visiting those departments, the gender departments in the councils, since there are always some gender development officers in there who can help in providing different solutions that can be provided to people who have come across any form of gender-based violence. And those are the people who can as well give you the good guideline of where you can get they can provide a referral to a certain place where they feel like you can be assisted freely, and any kind of even the legal assistance can be provided in those departments. And secondly, the support groups.
Yep.
I feel like the support groups can also be a better way where one can be helped with the emotional and psychological support.
Yeah.
Because in those groups, you always find people who have faced similar situations, and that's where you can also come up and discuss the kind of coping mechanisms one is trying to use in order to move forward and in order to heal from the kind of abuse that they experienced. Yeah.
All right, great. Any more additions to that?
Yes, I can add some. Luckily in Malawi now, we have victim support units in the police stations.
Yeah.
So a victim of gender-based violence can go there to get some counseling on how she can cope with the stress that comes with being exposed to violence.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in addition to that, I also believe there are some one-stop. They call them one-stop centers in the health facilities. I think we even have one at Queens where you meet all the professions on one spot.
Okay.
And they help you according to the kind of abuse you have faced. So you can meet the police officers there, whether you want the clinic officers or the nurses to assist you. Like you find everything just on one spot.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Okay, and also I feel like our religious
Beliefs.
our religious beliefs can help us to cope with stress. For example, in every religion we have the part which counsels when a person has problems. So I think we can also utilize those opportunities to get
GBV out of the way.
Yeah.
All right, great. Now, I'm looking at my end of a guy being, one of those who can help to end GBV or just mitigate. If I say end, I'm not sure that we can do it at one go. But if we mitigate it, we lower the numbers of the violence cases in town, I guess. We can agree on that. Now, how would you want a man like me to come in between and say, you know what, maybe let's have men doing this? What would you want? What is it that you would want men to do? So maybe we can help mitigate these cases or just activities together.
Okay. I would really love for males to take a big part in combating gender-based violence.
Yes.
Especially at the family level.
All right.
Since the man is the one who makes decisions at the family level.
Yes.
So he can also be the one instilling social norms which can mitigate gender-based violence. For instance, not differentiating in treating a male child or a female child.
Yes.
Yeah. Or even in terms of sending their children to school. Not discriminating.
Boys and girls should go to school.
Yeah, boys and girls should go to school. Or even how the man treats the wife.
Yes.
We learn at a tender age.
Yes.
We see those things.
Yes.
So I think if a male child is being a role model at a family level, that can also help. And a man can also support to combat GBV in terms of advocating for it. They can be role models. You men, you tend to follow what like your role model is doing, especially if it is also a fellow man.
Yes.
So when you see a man advocating for negative impact of gender-based violence, you tend to listen and to do what the person is saying. So advocating for policies or maybe activities at a community level, I think that can also help.
Beatrice, anything to add on that?
Engaging men as allies is very crucial when it comes to preventing gender-based violence. So I think one way which a man can jump in is through promoting respectful relationships. This would also mean challenging the harmful masculinity norms which are there in the societies. So you can either be encouraging positive behaviors. Men can contribute to creating safer and more equitable communities.
Yes.
So this can involve communication skills, fostering empathy, and a commitment to equality among men and boys. So it's all about not just focusing GBV as a woman's issue, but it's really a society problem. So by seeing it as a society problem, it would make it more open to everyone to be involved. So I would really appreciate it if men are to join hands with everybody else in order to tackle this issue of gender-based violence.
I'll ask a different question to our lawyer. Can women violate a man?
Of course, when we're talking about gender-based violence, from the definitions that my colleagues gave,
You talked about gender on the other hand, yes.
Exactly, it's violence perpetrated against the person because of their gender.
Yes.
It's not exclusive to women.
Yes.
Yeah, but because we're in Women's Month, we're focusing on women. And I was looking at this report, an Afrobarometer report, and it said that 99% of men are perpetrators and 96% of women are the victims. So you can see how already the statistics are against men. Yeah, but then if you're a victim of gender-based violence, there are laws put in place that can help you. So Malawi has a number of domestic laws that have been put in place to curb gender-based violence. Of course, we're also party, and we're also party to some international charters, like the Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. But then I want to focus on the laws, the domestic laws in our country. So I'm going to start talking about prevention of the legislation of Prevention of Domestic Violence Act. And the purpose of this act was to ensure the commitment of the state to eliminate gender-based violence, especially within a domestic relationship. So that means we're focusing on a family here, between men and women, men and their children and their parents. So just to get straight into it, because I don't want to waste too much time, Prevention of Domestic Violence Act, specifically under Section 5, it provides for a protection order. So this protection order basically prohibits the respondent from continuing any forms of violence. When I say respondent, I mean the person who you've taken the protection order against. For example, you're a man or you're a woman and you've had some sort of violence perpetrated against you. Section 5, Part 2 of the Prevention of Domestic Violence Act, you can apply for a protection order. And then this protection order can be granted in Section 7 of the same Act. And if the court is satisfied that a case for domestic violence has been made against the respondent, and they've looked at all the circumstances and they're satisfied, okay, muntu yudi anabangadi violence against the respondent, really was violent against the person who went to complain, then ntawi zina, when they look at the gravity of the situation, if they see kuti chintu chondija serious kwambiri, amata kubereka an arrest. Yeah, so basically if the court sees fit, it can attach a power of arrest to the protection order. So yeah, after that we can look at the Gender Equality Act under Section 6. So the Gender Equality Act provides for, Prevention Against Domestic Violence Act provides for violence within a domestic situation. So mabanja, whilst the Gender Equality Act provides for sexual harassment. So this can happen anywhere, on the street, in workplaces, at church, anywhere. So Section 6 of the Gender Equality Act basically provides for sexual harassment. And Section 6 yomweyo, subsection 2, imabanga provide for the penalties that come with violating someone sexually. So you can either be made to pay a 1 million kwacha fine, or you can be put into prison for 5 years. And finally, I'm going to talk about the National Gender Policy. And this National Gender Policy was established in 2015 under the Ministry of Gender. That's under Patricia Galiati. And one of their policy objectives was to reduce gender-based violence at all levels. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Just to add, in a cases where you feel like maybe you have not get your justice, you have reported the issue to the police, or maybe the case had gone to court, but you feel like the justice was not served, we have Office of Ombudsman. So you can go there and lodge your complaint. After that, the Office of Ombudsman investigate the issue. So at the end of the day, if you are really right, you get the justice. Just to add on policies that we have here in Malawi, Ministry of Gender, Community Development and Social Welfare collaborated with other sectors. For example, in the education sector, you will find the element of gender inclusion. And I would give also example of MEP, Malawi Education Reform Program, which has a learner mentor program. This program helps to inspire girls in schools, inspiring them that they can achieve whatever they want, they can do great things. So this is also one of the policies that other sectors are doing.
So in addition to the legal frameworks which my colleague mentioned, she talked of the Gender Equality Act. So as she explained, this is something which promotes gender equality, and it prohibits discrimination based on gender in various spheres of life. So this includes employment, education, and access to services. It also aims to address the root causes of GBV by challenging harmful gender norms and stereotypes. So I just wanted to jump in and add to this. And in addition, there is the Child Care Protection and Justice Act, which is an act mainly focusing on children from all forms of abuse. So as we all know, children, especially the little girls, they also experience gender-based violence. So it's either it can be the forced marriages, rape, and talk of other, let's say, exploitation. So this act, it establishes the procedures for reporting and investigating cases of child abuse and providing the care, protection, and rehabilitation child survivors. So this is another legal framework which is there in Malawi. So apart from that, I can also say that despite having all these legal frameworks, I should also say I should really appreciate some of the organizations that are really jumping in and bringing in some different programs or projects to help in tackling gender-based violence. We should also applaud our chiefs who are also taking time to make sure that the gender-based violence is also being handled in different communities.
I just wanted to add on chiefs, because for a longer term, to end gender-based violence, we have to start at the grassroots level.
Yes.
So chiefs should take part, should be the leading laws, should do the leading laws in taking part in activities that will help to reduce gender-based violence. For instance, I admire Chief Kajindamoto, the woman from Ennita.
Yes.
The way she fights for girls' rights, and she take her time to even go to door to door, to educate people about
gender-based violence.
About all the rights of women. She just incorporated. So as you see, this chief is taking a reading law. What if all the chiefs
were doing it?
All Malawi were doing it? Would have a great change. Would have a great impact.
I agree. If there's anything more that you ladies would like to express, especially when it comes to gender-based violence, I think this is your cue. Just go and take it on, right on its head. Hit it.
Okay, so I have two things that I want to address. When we first started, we started talking about the toll-free lines. I also forgot to add that there's a procedure that one has to take when they've been when they're a victim of gender-based violence. So I actually went to the police station by myself to collect information on how a victim is supposed to go about the whole procedure. And the first thing that they emphasized on was you need a medical report. So before you go to the police to report that you've been attacked or you've been assaulted, you need to go to the hospital to get a medical report, and so that they can establish what kind of injuries you have, whether the injuries are. They just want to know the gravity of the injury. Exactly. So when you take your medical report to the police will basically take you to the victim support unit. So ugabida ku victim support unit, they basically ask you what happened and then you explain yourself. So they give you a chance to bring the perpetrator of the violence into the police station. So they assess the situation from there. If they see good that person is repentant, if they see good, okay, this person is actually willing to change, then maybe they can counsel you. But then if they see good, this person is not apologetic for what they've done, then they transfer the police. It actually becomes a whole issue, a whole case now. Case, yeah. And then I also wanted to add on the question that you asked earlier, what role can men play? Yes, in helping change and mitigate the whole gender-based violence numbers. Yeah, so I remember Ennita said something about on a personal level. You don't always have to be. Of course, we encourage men to be actively involved in community. If you're able to find a group you can find to where issues of GBV are addressed, we encourage you to join those groups. But then also on a personal level, you can actually practice self-control. Yes, you can. Exactly. Things we just learn. Exactly. It doesn't mean the males are aggressive. No, it's just a characteristics that you have acquired through socialization. Yeah. So men were not born perpetrators of in the violence, but we learn. So I think we can also unlearn. The thing which we can learn, that means we can also unlearn. So on a personal level, let's try to unlearn those harmful cultural practices, those harmful social norms. Everything. All the stereotypes, we can abandon them because it's a learned behavior.
Yes. And in the whole process of unlearning whatever we learned, I'd say it would really be nice if we are to train the younger generation something different from what we already know, like something that already exists. So we can talk of the cultural norms which are there, maybe the whole levels of masculinity, how to use those masculinity levels. So if it's unlearning things, I think we can do that by even including the younger generations, so that as they grow, they can know that this is something we're supposed to do and this is something that we're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and you can also, on the same aspect of doing things on a personal level, instead of rushing to beat someone up, say for example you're getting into an argument with your wife or your girlfriend, instead of rushing to be physically abusive or be verbally abusive, you can actually learn, like Ennita said, self-restraint, self-control, practice patience, practice communication, instead of rushing into things that will lead you to gender-based violence and getting you into trouble and also just harming people physically and emotionally.
All right. Anything more to add?
So most of the times, maybe when we are talking of issues to do with gender-based violence, I've come across several people who would say, really, yes. So it's not necessary we want azimai akalendi the kind of nature men have. Komano, I think if we are to take a look at this whole situation, it goes to respecting one another. Yeah. So if you can't respect a fellow human being, it would make you to abuse that person. If you feel like you don't love that person, you can easily abuse that person. So as much as we are fighting for ending gender-based violence, I would also plea to my fellow women that disabange abuse the kind of lights people are fighting for us, and disayambe kumadirira antu makomomo, those who are married, kudi we go like kudi ndufulu wanga chan, because as women we also have a certain limit yoti we are supposed to be tolerant to men. Komano, that kind of tolerance is a certificate sobo kudi we should be abused in the name of kudi we want to tolerate men, because there are some things zoti we face in the society tinazika mutu mwatumu kuti it's something which is normal. Komano, when you take a closer look at it, it's not really normal. It's different form of abuse. Imatokhala pene economic abuse, because ngati insibambo nyumba akukaniza kuti usamagwire ntchito, usamapange business, usamatani. That's an economic abuse. Chokuti it's something you're supposed to deal with. Koma, you find some women kuti they're just okay with it, and kumambakira so muntu uja kuti ndamunanga tu amandibakira provide china chili chonse tu, but you're capable as a woman to do something for yourself. So I would really say kuti let's not take this as an opportunity yokuti tizidelera. Even the Bible says kuti as a man you should be. Yes. So I would really. So I would really.
It doesn't mean
yes. Yes. So respecting each other should go hand in.
Actually, it says respect your husband. And husband should
love.
So you can't abuse
somebody you love.
Yes.
That's why I said that respect, and you can't abuse somebody you love.
True.
Yes. So let's use the opportunity immediately now. Different people are fighting for our lives. Let's use it wisely. Komaso, it shouldn't be more like a threat to the men. Because once we start using it as a threat, I think somehow Zibangas will contribute to the whole increase, the gender-based violence rates here in Malawi.
All right, great. Anything more to add before we close the chapter?
Well, my message to fellow women is violence is not a private matter. Violence is not a family matter. Whenever you have experienced any kind of violence, a victim of any kind of violence, please report to authorities. We have police stations, we have social welfare offices.
We have Naomie you can go to.
Yeah. So go and report. Of course, I know there are some cases whereby the authorities let us down, but I think that's not enough reason not to report when we are victims of violence. Yeah, and my message to males, to all men in Malawi,
including me.
Yes, including you, of course.
I feel attacked, but anyway, go ahead.
The lights which we are fighting for women, it doesn't mean we are sidelining you.
True.
Yeah, we want to work hand in hand.
Sure.
Human beings are social beings.
Yes.
Everywhere we go, we found men, we found women.
Yes.
That means we have to collaborate, to work together,
so that
to fight, to achieve something great. And for another message for women, I don't know what you have been taught. I know growing up as girls, as women, we are taught that we are weak. Things like those. Yeah, you're weak. You're not intelligent. That's a lie. Because you can be whatever you want to be.
And you can do whatever you want.
Yes.
Without a man.
As I already said.
Partly yes.
Partly yes. Okay. What I'm trying to say is not your identity, your entire identity is not only attached to a man.
True.
Yeah, because our culture, that a woman identity is
based on a man.
Yeah, it's based on a man. Yeah, for example, a married woman is more respected than an unmarried woman.
Yes.
You see, it's like our entire identity is attached to a man. But which is not true.
It's even the same as manokutu wakula nyumba moti muli bambambo and moti muli abambo. Like people always appreciate a family oti mwana nkaza kuchokera mu nyumba moti.
Yes. Yeah, things like those. So at the end of the day, it makes women to stay in marriages where they are abused. They want to get out, but then they think of society norms. They think, what will people say? The sad thing is the attitude of women towards violence, like a victim of gender-based violence towards a woman who has experienced gender-based violence, we tend to gossip about her and we tend to label her names, which is like we are victim blaming. We are blaming the victim like it's her fault. But but the true thing is, anyone can experience gender-based violence. It doesn't matter if you're a working class woman or an employed woman or a housewife, or maybe you are coming from a rich family or a poor family. We have also cases whereby people from a rich family experience violence. The only difference is just the prevalence rate. Yeah. So please, women, let's have some empathy towards our fellow women. Yes. And I should also advise that women, let's get involved in some economic activities which can empower us to be economically independent. Because some of the reasons that contributes to gender-based violence against women, it's economic dependence on men. Yeah. They want to get out of the abusive marriage, but they just endure silently because they don't have that independence. Financial independence. They're like, if I report my husband, but he's a breadwinner of the family. Yeah. So where will I go after that? Yeah. So I think having that economic independence gives you liberty to make decisions. It doesn't give you liberty to insult your husband. It doesn't give you liberty to disrespect your husband. But we are saying in a case whereby a man is abusive. Yes. So I think let's get involved in something that can give us a sustainable source of income.
All right, great. Naomie, would you like to wrap it up?
I think she said everything.
All right, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to go away with the ladies. But of course, we've had a great chat about gender-based violence. I'm pretty sure we've defined it and also looked at all angles to do it, what it can do, how it comes into play, who can do what, and what we need to do as a society, as men, starting with Leshonalo, of course. So I will be back again with another episode later on in the year or in the months. I'm sure we'll definitely speak to one or two of these on another day. But before we go, get to know the ladies that I was with.
My name is Naomie Nhlane, and it was a pleasure being here. And I hope that this program helps those who needed to hear it. And also just, I feel like Ennita pretty much covered everything that I also wanted to address, especially when it comes to economic dependence. I also wanted to emphasize on the fact that maybe we didn't really talk about the aspect where some people who've experienced GBV actually die. People actually lose their lives.
Yes.
Women are dying, men are dying because of GBV. Yes. So please speak up. Don't be embarrassed. We know it's easier said than done for us to sit here and say, oh, if you're experiencing GBV, please talk to someone about it. But then, please, if you're being abused physically, sexually, economically, in any way, if you're being abused, please find someone to talk to. Or those toll-free lines that we mentioned at the start of the program, those are 100% confidential. Yeah. Thank you.
And in addition, as we wrap it all, let me just say that gender-based violence can happen in public or in private atmosphere. So we should also have in mind that gender-based violence can either be physical, sexual, psychological, and economic. So in all these areas, we should make sure that we should safeguard ourselves. Let's love ourselves as women. Because it's easy for someone so as much as we would want to be loved and appreciated, we should also turn back the same favors. And as Naomie said, there are different legal frameworks which are there. So in order for these legal frameworks to be effective, we need to utilize those legal frameworks. The legal frameworks which are there, they're of no use at all. So it's better we should always take charge of whatever is happening in the society. I'm Beatrice, Kalaja. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm Ennita Dzewe, and it was a pleasure being here and discuss issues concerning about women. Yeah. So I hope everyone who was listening have grabbed maybe one or two things he or she can practice. Yeah, thank you. And together we can end
Gender-based
Gender-based violence.